Should Christians support illegal immigration because Jesus was an illegal immigrant? First, let's examine whether Jesus was even an illegal immigrant. When Jesus' family fled to Egypt to escape King Herod's violence, both Judea and Egypt were under Roman rule. They traveled within the Roman Empire rather than crossing between two sovereign nation-states like we have today. Because modern immigration law did not exist in the same way, it isn't accurate to call Jesus an illegal immigrant. Was he a refugee instead? The United Nations defines a refugee as someone who has been forced to flee their country because of persecution, war, or violence. In many ways, Jesus' family resembles what we would today call refugees because they fled a ruler who sought to kill him. However, applying the modern legal definition is difficult because Judea and Egypt were provinces of the same empire, not separate modern countries. In other words, the biblical event doesn't fit neatly into today's immigration categories. So, does this mean Christians should oppose illegal immigration? Not necessarily. To answer that, we should look at what Scripture actually teaches. Leviticus 19:33-34 says, "When a foreigner resides among you in your land, do not mistreat them. The foreigner residing among you must be treated as your native born. Love them as yourself, for you were foreigners in Egypt. I am the Lord your God." This is a clear command not to mistreat foreigners and to treat them with love and justice. But does this apply specifically to illegal immigrants or to foreigners living lawfully among Israel? First, we need to understand what illegal immigrant means. Cornell Law School defines an undocumented or illegal immigrant as someone who entered or remains in a country in violation of its immigration laws. In other words, the distinction isn't simply that someone is a foreigner, it's that they have violated a country's laws. So the question becomes, does a nation have the biblical authority to establish and enforce its own laws? Romans 13:1-7 teaches that governing authorities are instituted by God to maintain order and punish wrongdoing. Christians are instructed to submit to governing authorities, pay taxes, and obey the law. Therefore, a Christian can believe two things at the same time. Foreigners should be treated with dignity, compassion, and justice. Governments have the biblical authority to establish and enforce immigration laws. Those positions are not mutually exclusive. So yes, from a biblical perspective, a Christian can oppose illegal immigration while still loving immigrants and treating every person with dignity. Let me know what you think in the comments, and share any Bible verses you believe are relevant to this discussion.